Bo Nix, Broncos, 2025. How do you feel about Bo Nix right now as a starting quarterback?
He's fine. I think for what for what his role in the offense eventually became, I thought, it was better than the start of the season by the end, because at the start, I wasn't sure he was going to make it to the end of the season.
I didn't either.
When they're coming out against Seattle and throwing for like 3 yards an attempt, and there were a few games like that. It looked a little shaky, but I think they found a role for him to be productive within the offense by the end of the season. Keep him on the move, a lot of screens. Like the one game that comes to mind, sadly, is the game they played against the Falcons, where they just kind of peppered them to death on screens, and no one could tackle. By the end of we got 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. And that's that. I think the best part of Bo's game is probably like, I guess when they're on scripts, I'm trying not to make him sound like a little guppy man, guppy quarterback that can't do much on his own. But it did kind of seem like towards the end of the season, Sean Payton realized, we got to reel us in a little bit, because when he was just trying to do the standard quarterback stuff, it didn't go well. But when they pulled it in and like, all right, screens and play action, it's a little more your game, they got a little more productive. So I don't know what that says about Bo really himself, but I like the surrounding pieces they have for him. Like anytime you have Sean Payton, I thought he showed that he still's got the juice last year as far as being an NFL play caller. You're going to probably be able to be pretty productive. But I think Bo needs to get better. Just, I guess, throwing down the field and be a little bit more accurate when it's not going to be dressed up and clean for you. And that's something that I still think has a long ways to go for his game.
Yeah, I think that's too. I think that's what Sean Payton, that coaching staff, did such a good job. Where they're like, okay, we tried to maybe give you now a full Cheesecake Factory menu, but but like maybe we'll limit us down to like a fast food menu, maybe In-N-Out level. Just keep it nice and simple, just like 8 items on here, and we'll just go from there, nice and cheap and everything. So I think that was good coaching, but also understanding what your players are and everything. Matt, what about you? I was thinking about the 27-year-old rookie receiver that the Broncos had last year, but what about with Bo Nix though? Or how do you feel about him? Optimism with him, or just what you maybe want to see out of him this year?
Yeah, I think what I want to see from him is maybe like a little bit more consistency and kind of like in the I don't want to say like intermediate area of the field, because he's an interesting player when you look at him. Like, and we've talked about this a lot, the screen game is really good in this offense, and I think he was really good about like getting the ball out and just not effing it up on those screen plays, which is it's kind of like the bare minimum. By the way, like before I get into this sort of the minutia, I'll just say like the kind of state of the union for Bo Nix. Like, I think he verifiably clears the bar of like, all right, this guy can be our starting quarterback, and like we can go to work with this guy. Like, I'm not concerned about him like being he's sneaky bad, or like he's a bust or anything. Like, no, that's nonsense. I think he verifiably clears the bar to like that quarterback wilderness thing. Like, if they don't have anybody that kind of qualifies here, I guess Sutton kind of has at times in his career. Like, I think he's out of the quarterback wilderness with Bo Nix. That's good enough. So with that being said, like, I think when you kind of parse some of the stats out with him, like, this is the best way to describe Bo Nix is, again, on 10 plus air yard throws, like, he's 17th in adjusted yards per attempt, but he's 27th in success rate, which that's not the worst thing in the world, but I think it kind of speaks to who he is. Like, he's a little bit boom bust. Again, that's not the worst thing in the world. Like, Jordan Love is kind of the same way, where the success rate is low, but like he's 9th in adjusted yards per attempt. So, I mean, it's a little bit obviously a better version of that, but same thing with Jordan Love, where I'd like to see him even out a little bit as a player. And I think with Bo Nix, that's what, in his second season, surrounded by much better players now. I mean, they've added some of the additions there. I kind of really like, the more I've thought about Pat Bryant in this offense, the more I think it makes sense. The Evan Ingram addition as a move around guy, RJ Harvey as a running back, like they got a little more juice there than they did. Even Marvin Mims, like at times last season, was really fun for them. So like, I think they've got enough guys to do like what Sean Payton wants to do, and I think Bo Nix can be good enough to do that as well. So I'm pretty comfortable with him going into second season.
Yeah, the one good thing with him that carried over from college is he doesn't take sacks. He that's part of his play style. He's willing to check that ball down very quickly. It's going to be a touchdown to check down kind of operating system, which works with a Sean Payton offense. But man, he's a really good athlete. I mean, really, really good athlete, and I think he's a good scrambler as well. But he had a 4.1% sack rate last year, which ranked fourth among all quarterbacks. It's the second best sack rate among 28 qualifying rookie quarterbacks since 2012. So it is something up there. That's something again to hang your hat on. Had a 13.4 pressure to sack rate. The Broncos offensive line is great. And the offensive line system, or in the system that they have, and the coaching and what they call scheme wise, helps it out a lot too, and helps Nix out a lot too. You know, a lot of extra tight ends in there, running backs in there to hang in protection. You know, you get extra bodies in there. But that's how he was in college too, because one of my things evaluating him was like, oh yeah, he's got a really good arm. He just doesn't always use it, like because he was throwing so much checkdowns and screens and everything. And this year we got to see the arm unleashed. And it could be all over the place. Sometimes it was great. Sometimes you have the Browns game, the third down, where he hits the guy down the pipe, or the Bills, the opening drive against the Bills in the playoffs. Again, what you were talking about, though, Charles, scripted plays and everything, good. He has a good understanding. And that's going to kind of lead to my negative with him, or really what I want to see. A lot of screens. We already mentioned that. Sean Payton's always going to call a lot of screens. So that's the thing, is like that's never going to really go away. That's part of the offense, and especially with the running back they took in the first or in the second round, yeah, there's going to be even more screens. But the thing that I noticed the most was how many throws happen outside the pocket, and not just bootlegs or play action, but on third down and second and longs, which are considered passing downs. They would do what I call extended sprint outs, blocked big sprint outs, which is 3-man routes. He catches the ball. Then he leaves the pocket, and then they seal the edge, and really essentially turns the reads into a bootleg read. You got a high, you got an over route, and you got an under route. And they would do that a lot on third down. And I've seen offenses do that and coaches do that as a changeup. Hey, we're playing a heavy blitzing team. This is just a way to make it easier on everybody. They would do it like every game. And it would just be like every 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Okay, there's another extended sprint out. 25% of his throws were from outside the pocket last year, which led the NFL. I want to see that number come down. I wanted to see his straight drop back. I have to read 1, 2, 3, 4. He's shown a couple times he can do it, but they do not. That was not their strength of their game. That was not their fastball of their offense. So I just want to see that, the true drop back, the true dissecting the defense, truly finding the correct read consistently. When it was scripted plays, that first third down of the game, great. But as middle of the second quarter, second half of the games, it becomes so scattershot that, I mean, I watched that Chargers game from the last month of the season. I could count on one hand how many true dropbacks there were. And I would say maybe 3 fingers how many true dropbacks there were. Screen, play action, heavy shot play, extended sprint outs, da-da-da-da. So those launch throws are good. He can throw on the move. I just want to see a little bit more of the traditional dropback stuff. He finished 19th in dropback success rate last year, which is solid. 17th among rookies since 2012, so right in the middle of the pack. The quarterbacks around him were Mariota, Wentz, Minshew, and Darnold. Burrow was a little bit higher than that, but kind of, same little area. Running backs weren't great. They had like 1.5 pass catchers. I'll count Mims as one as a pass catcher. Should improve this year. But I do think the athleticism and understanding what Peyton wants on some of these plays is going to give him a nice baseline. Like, I think that he can keep you in some games, but I do want to see more of that real quarterback stuff. I'm going to be pretty optimistic about it because Sean Payton's not going anywhere and the offensive line's not going anywhere. So again, I'm going to say it's a 7 here. I want to see a little more of the traditional dropback stuff. But Charles, what about you?
I'll go 6 or 7.
Matt?
Yeah, 7 for me too. I do think, to your point, like he could be one of these guys that, 4 years from now, we're having these like little debates about, yeah, but what does he look like outside of Sean Payton's? Well, guess what?
Right.
Unless Sean Payton decides he wants to retire again, you retire again. Something about New Orleans, people just retire and then they eventually come back. He wants to do that again. Like he's not going to go anywhere. He's going to only ever probably play for Sean Payton as long as things go well there. So I think a 7 is fine with me.